Since I am mainly looking at video games that may be suitable for people who have never really played video games before, I thought it might be time to look back at the discoveries and moments and more associated with specific games I've played in my life. This is a series I'm calling Gaming Memories. My earliest memories of gaming consist of playing really old computer games, seeing the rivalry between Mario and Sonic on shop windows, and of course playing on the Super Nintendo. Also, throwing a little Sonic while we're at it. I first discovered the Nintendo 64 through someone playing Mario Kart 64, but all that changed when I first saw the PlayStation. I clearly remember the day I saw it, which must have been in 1997 or 1998. My cousin and his family had it under the TV. My uncle got it in a raffle as a second place prize instead of a first place prize trip to Europe, and he was devastated. Anyway, on that day there was a playable demo disc. It featured demos for games like Wipeout, Destruction Derby, and most notably the first Crash Bandicoot. I remember playing that Crash Bandicoot demo so much. Of course, this was almost nothing compared to an actual proper game I spent so much time on at a later stage.
Crash Bandicoot 4!
Crash Bandicoot 3 remains to this day one of my favourite games in the series for a reason. At my cousin's place, many hours were devoted to progressing through my save file and trying my best to complete the game. I do remember seeing games such as Medieval and the Spyro and Tomb Raider games in action, but not that well. Crash Bandicoot 3 seemed to be the only game I played. Plus I may have played Crash Bash or even Crash Team Racing, but only as rentals. Yet before Crash 3 came out, the Nintendo fan in me already got a Nintendo 64 in early 1998 because I couldn't say no to games such as Diddy Kong Racing and Lylat Wars / Star Fox 64, so I didn't get a PlayStation. In fact, I never did. As a kid, I didn't mind the controller and really liked some of the graphics in the various games. I even saw glimpses of other games when spending time with friends, most notably Metal Gear Solid and even Parappa the Rapper. But I stuck to Nintendo, only for things to get more complicated for the next generation. The battle between the PlayStation 2, Xbox and GameCube. My memories of Nintendo vs Sega are very vague, but not this battle. I remember the PlayStation 2 selling really well and being more expensive than its competitors. I remember the games being talked about, like Metal Gear Solid 2, and quite possibly the Grand Theft Auto games. But all that, and even the Xbox being playable in shops for a Halo co-op with my cousins was awesome, couldn't drag me away from the GameCube. Outside of a once in a blue moon multiplayer session, and looking at reviews of exclusives such as Kingdom Hearts and Guitar Hero, which were just two of a number of games I watched other people play, I didn't really pay a lot of attention to the PlayStation 2. In fact, I didn't pay much attention to the PlayStation 3 either. All I remember was the price tag, which I'm sure people complained so much about, and the launch titles. Years went by until I did more research on other games and even went to gaming exhibitions. It was during one of those exhibitions I got to play Shadow of the Colossus for the first time after hearing quite a bit about it. It must have been that beautiful, artistic game, as well as other games, including digital options such as the PlayStation 1 titles, we'll come back to that finally convinced me I should get a PlayStation 3. I got a red one bundled with the 2013 Tomb Raider game, and surely at a much cheaper price than at launch. Sure, it wasn't one of the older models with more backwards compatibility, but I spent quite a bit of time on the PlayStation 3 surprisingly. It was through this system that I could discover or rediscover older PlayStation games, such as Crash Bandicoot 3 again, and one of my first Final Fantasy games, Final Fantasy VII. Yep, it took me that long to start playing that series. Funnily enough, the PlayStation 3 became my default DVD/music/Blu-ray player when moving out to my current flat. No need to get a DVD player or something. My collection of PlayStation 3 games grew, with games such as the Metal Gear Solid collection coming to mind. With the PlayStation 4 generation, I hesitated more on buying them, and not just that, but even the Wii U. I don't remember much of what I thought of a generation of consoles back in the day. Weren't there that many exclusives I was interested in? Well, to be fair, the spiritual successor to Shadow of the Colossus titled The Last Guardian really had me excited. So I got a PlayStation 4 quite possibly for that reason, bundled with another game I'd rather not speak the name of lest I get bombarded with comments like, "Why haven't you played that series yet?" Got an ever-growing backlog of games, I'll have you know. I'd say the PlayStation 4 may have got more playtime than the PlayStation 3, and with games such as Persona 5 and the Kingdom Hearts collection being my entry points into such popular JRPG franchises, I wouldn't have it any other way. Plus these games I got at a surprisingly cheap price. Shh! I also found a PlayStation 2 online, just so I could play Silent Hill 2 and 3, and only the original releases, not the HD ones. And those are the only games I've been playing on the PlayStation 2. Oh, and I do have the PlayStation Classic, which is the closest I'll get to having the original PlayStation. I wish the game selection for it was better though. Why the power release of the system doesn't have Parasite Eve, I'll almost never know, and will still remain angry at until I finally get to play said game. So, in conclusion, what sort of memories have I had with the PlayStation systems? And this doesn't include the PSP and Vita, by the way, I haven't really played those yet. Honestly, many good ones. I'm still a Nintendo fan at heart, who will play on systems from the SNES to the Switch and love much of the exclusive games to death. But at the same time, the PlayStation consoles have their share of exclusives, which I almost regret not playing sooner. I didn't grow up with Final Fantasy VII like a lot of people did, but games for the first PlayStation like that one, I got to play down the line and enjoy. Of course, none of the systems are without their faults, let's be real here. There are games for the earlier systems that have not aged well, and the loading times I didn't really pay attention to as a kid really were a disadvantage over the Nintendo 64. Backwards compatibility also became an issue as the generations went on, and I could mention a few other issues, but I want to be more positive than negative. I also now realize that really, if you could play on other consoles and give them more of a chance, you might get something cool you won't find elsewhere, even if it means having to jump ship to continue playing a series like Final Fantasy. I like having a variety of systems to play on. Now, I want to ask you the following questions. Which PlayStation is your favourite? And this can include the PSP and Vita. What is or are your favourite games on the respective PlayStation systems? And are you interested in the PlayStation 5 coming out later this year? It's mainly the reason I'm doing this video. Whatever happens later, gamers new and old can play with the new system and its predecessors and make some good gaming memories.